Boy, has today been absolutely crazy. I'm filming these videos for my second channel in between these breaks they're doing with the hearing because I've been glued to the TV nonstop. And in this, I have seen this interesting op-ed from CNN. It's Democrats have hijacked Me Too for political gain. I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about because I'm after the hearings are over, I'm going to do a longer breakdown of my thoughts and everything, and how I feel everything's went. So it'll kind of just be loose. But for this, I wanted to go through this op-ed as kind of like a warm-up to that, and I thought it was an interesting statement that CNN had published. Granted, it's an op-ed, it's an individual, so we'll just read through some of it, and I'll comment on some of it. I don't want to necessarily read the entirety of it, but we'll get to the crux of their idea. This is from, I don't believe it as that, Carrie Sheffield. And they say that Sheffield is a conservative commentator, the founder of Bold, a digital news network committed to bipartisan dialogue. The opinions expressed in this commentary are her own. View more opinions on CNN. The genesis of Me Too was a noble call for a world free from sexual harassment and violence. To treat women worse than men in the workplace or the court of law is fundamentally corrosive to American ideals of justice and fundamental human dignity. And because of the movement, powerful men who'd preyed upon vulnerable women for decades were toppled overnight, and corporate giants were brought down as their vile behavior came to light. She says that she, as a conservative woman, is concerned that in the case of Brett Kavanaugh, the noble justice of Me Too has been politically hijacked and weaponized, co-opted by Democrats seeking to extrapolate this just cause for liberal policies that go beyond equal and fair treatment for women. They are attempting to tip the scale of justice away from evidence and data toward emotion and speculation, assuming guilt first, and without credible evidence to support their conclusion. And this, the great conundrum that I find myself in. I'm not going to vote for a conservative. It's never going to happen. The only way it could happen is if literally you have like communists in the Democratic Party advocating for full-blown communism. Right now they're not really doing that, but admittedly I'm not going to vote for Democrats either. I'm probably not going to vote because I think everyone's crazy. Now, this woman is right. I don't know if I would necessarily say that the Me Too movement, has been hijacked, but I do believe what we're seeing with Brett Kavanaugh is some of the most utter and ridiculous nonsense ever. Listen. When I heard Christine Blasey Ford's testimony, I'm like, that sounds like a 17-year-old boy. When I heard the exposing himself, but now you're going to these drug-induced gang rape party, like, you lost me. 5 accusations, it just sounds like, I'm concerned that with this rhetoric of by any means necessary, we're going to start seeing people willing to lie under penalty of a felony to come out and make these claims. And that's bad for women who actually have claims to be made. I don't know, what to say in terms of the Kavanaugh thing. I'm going to do a bigger breakdown in a second. But, speaking to this, it would seem, in my opinion, that there are at least some Democrats who know full well what they're doing when you consider the fact they were sitting on this, that Blasey Ford didn't want the information leaked, and they did anyway. So she says, as the Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote, the Democratic standard for sexual assault allegations is that they should be accepted as true merely for having been made. The accuser is assumed to be telling the truth because the accuser is a woman. The burden is on Mr. Kavanaugh to prove his innocence. If he cannot do so, then he is unfit to serve on the court. And this is what a lot of people have been saying to me, that this is a job interview. It's not about innocent until proven guilty. He's not going to go to jail. He just can't have the job. And my opinion is human rights extend to all facets of life, period. I personally believe that a bakery should serve a gay couple for their wedding. I understand that story was probably a bad example because there's nuance there. But I believe that if you want to participate in public, you must serve the public. Okay, I am left. I believe that we should have regulation on certain companies because otherwise they kind of run amok. And I believe that regardless of what you are doing and where you are doing it, like is it a job interview, whatever, false accusations shouldn't be used against you. In fact, if someone makes a claim against you in order to prevent you from getting a job, you can sue for defamation. Okay, so it's not like there's not legal remedies for this. She says, as a conservative activist, she publicly argued on CNN and elsewhere that the overwhelming evidence against Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore should tip the balance away from conservatives supporting him. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who is backing Kavanaugh, also said Moore should drop out. This went against, this went against her political desires and Moore lost the seat, but it was what justice demanded to protect innocent young women. The testimony and evidence were too robust to assume Moore's innocence. Moore himself admitted that he dated young ladies while he was in his 30s, and multiple eyewitnesses confirmed Moore's predatory behavior toward teenage girls. Yet the reverse appears to be true in the case of Kavanaugh. 0 eyewitnesses have confirmed the allegations by either Ford, Ramirez, and multiple FBI background checks into Kavanaugh never surfaced any type of questionable conduct. If the accusations leveled against Kavanaugh by Ford and Ramirez are true, they should be disqualifying for Supreme Court justice. Kavanaugh denies both. That these women say they experienced sexual misconduct and were too ashamed or too intoxicated to hold the perpetrators accountable is heartbreaking. Their allegations should be met with empathy and a societal push to ensure that any victim of sexual abuse can easily and transparently report sex crimes without fear, shame, or retaliation. And I completely agree with this. And it's funny that I find myself agreeing more with the conservative position because they're advocating for defense of the innocent and liberty. What we're talking about right now with the people on the internet and the claims against Kavanaugh is not left versus right at all. It's liberty versus authority, with people saying that, like, my God, the insults against him, it's not about whether or not it's true. It's about there are people who would rather punish the innocent than protect the innocent. And, you know, so I've asked people, I made a video about this a while ago, would you free someone falsely convicted of rape if it meant 10 guilty rapists would go free? And it's a question that kind of plays in Blackstone's formulation about, you know, it is better that one guilty person escape than, it is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent suffer. And I've asked people about this. I've asked them what their opinions are, and I've found overwhelmingly that many of my friends who are, you know, like Democrats on the left, think it is okay to punish the innocent. Like Ezra Klein even said that. He said, like, oh, unfortunately some innocent people will be punished by this, but, you know, it's necessary. So I actually, look, I want to protect all of the innocents, all of them. And that means I want good law enforcement. If a woman comes out and says that she was abused or harassed or assaulted or whatever, absolutely. I think, you know, for me, what listen and believe means is like, I'm going to believe you, okay? But if we can't get the evidence, there's nothing we can do about it. And I think it's the right approach. Because one of the challenges that I hear a lot of women, you know, they talk about how they're worried no one will believe them. Okay, make a claim. We should believe you, and not in the sense that we're going to take action and punish everybody. We're going to believe you and launch an investigation. In my opinion, if someone says to, you know, the police or to law enforcement in general, hey, a crime happened, there should be some, you know, okay, let's do a check. Let's see if there's like some veracity to these claims. And that's what we should do. But I mean, it's really unfortunate. We can't just punish people. We can't imprison people, and we can't ruin people's careers simply because of accusations, especially when it starts getting out of control. I gotta say, you know, there's a fine balance between believing someone and taking action on their behalf, right? So just because I want to trust you that you're telling the truth, you probably experienced something, doesn't mean we will have the evidence required to actually, you know, cause harm to somebody. And as I mentioned, I believe that human rights extend to every facet of a person's life. That means even if it's a job interview, you should be able to be, you know, like there should be proof against claims about you. You shouldn't lose your job because someone made a claim against you. That would be terrible. Think about ex-cons and you know, felons who got out of prison who need jobs. They should be allowed to get jobs. It's unfortunate businesses will discriminate and say, yeah, I'm not going to hire a felon. I don't know what the law are, but I'm pretty sure in some instances they're not allowed to do that, but they will anyway, right? I worked a job once where the manager told me a woman came in and she had a felony, and she straight up was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. And then as soon as she left, she walked up to me and goes, I'm not hiring her, she's a felon. And so there you go. So it's important that accusations like that are almost as bad as actual convictions are not held against you, that we respect everyone, that we treat everyone regardless of whether or not it's a court. You know, we say, I am not going to hold it against you unless it was proven. So she says, these women have yet to produce serious evidence to support their serious allegations. They lack the vital components that Gretchen Carlson described to me in an interview on Bold TV and in her new book. That sounds like a plug for your network, Carrie. I'm going to skip over that part. The New Yorker chose to publish Ramirez's flimsy allegation without any other eyewitnesses confirming that Kavanaugh was present at the party where the alleged sexual assault occurred is an irresponsible and reckless journalistic choice. Completely agree. Even the New York Times said they wouldn't follow through on this. So I don't have a lot of time left because admittedly this is being filmed in between, you know, the hearing, and I want to make sure I get back and watch this. But we'll just go to some of the final statements. She says, the hypocrisy of Democrats is that they are pushing for dismantling the rule of law, even as they accuse Donald Trump of dismantling the same. There's a pathway to both investigate the charges against Kavanaugh and then, if they prove credible beyond a reasonable doubt, to impeach and remove him from either his current or any future role. should Ford choose to separately pursue this route. It would be the best way to support the Constitution while also ensuring justice. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Progressive women who don the scarlet robes and white hats of The Handmaid's Tale in protest of Kavanaugh and other conservatives say they fear a backward dystopian society where science takes a backseat to superstition. Ironically, if the evidence to date against Kavanaugh were to derail his nomination, they would be manifesting such a society. Wow, Carrie. Well said. Well said. No one is innocent. Left and right, they both have these, authoritarian aspects. However, in my opinion, we have a very powerful, illiberal reactionary left. And this should be opposed. You need facts, you need evidence, you need data, period. I'm going to get back to watching this hearing, but stick around because I will have another video up later tonight on this channel of my entire thoughts about what has happened so far.